MetalNationRadio.com.
But going back to the Ronnie situation, he didn't give him a fair crack at it because Ronnie was a lovely guy. I mean, he really was. Out of all the musicians I've ever met in my life, he was the man, really. Very genuine. He was just amazing. He could remember kids' names like 12 months later, 2 years later, when he got to a gig and he, I remember you. You're Brian so-and-so. Or your dad's so-and-so, so-and-so. Guy had a fucking incredible memory and a lot of love for his job,
Well, that obviously, for people that are listening, I guess, and fans of Dio, that's the one thing they identify with him, that his love of the music is very evident through the music, but also through the way he was, I guess, on stage and in his public appearances. Obviously, you know him knew him on a private level.
Ronnie, when we first met, I got on so well with him, and I've got the date and everything in my diary still in 1980, and I met him in London in the studio. We're doing the overdubs for Heaven and Hell, and we started talking, and we got on like house fire immediately. I mean, just unbelievably immediately. Mm-hmm. And just in a couple of hours, I learnt so much from him. And I said to him, look, these guys do not want to do press. I says, between me and you, if you're interested, I'll give you all the press. And I said, because I end up, truthfully, doing some of the press myself. I was doing Tony Iommi interviews, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because Tony was like out of his head, and I'll tell you the rest of that one later. But Ronnie said, I'll do anything you want me to do, I'll do. I said, because if you do, it's good for you. I mean, you're new to the band, but it'll be good, so you're going to be well known, and you're going to be able to do a solo project from it, because there's that much press we're turning down. They don't want to do interviews. And he said, I promise you, I'll do them. And he come to kick me in the nuts later on, a few years later. And we're out in Birmingham, of all places, and we come out the gig, and it's now 5 o'clock in the morning, and he's been going for about an hour and a half, talking to the fans outside.
Wow.
And I said, Ron, because we got an early move the next day, I said, Ron, we need to move. He went, fuck you. You're the one that fucking told me I'd got to do every interview and sign every autograph because the band wouldn't.
So he took it upon himself to do that?
Yeah.
To take that job on?
Fucker he was, yeah. So that was it. It backfired on me. And from when I said to him, I said, you know what? I said to him in the beginning, I said, really, you should go out. These don't do it. They're not really, to be fair. They're with to sign autographs. And Ronnie went, I'll go out there every night. If you're with me, I'll go out there every night. I said, okay, we'll do it. And that's why he put his heart and soul into it, for me, really, And then he sort of kicked me in the nuts years later, and I said, fuck it's too cold, let's go. Beginning, it was so much fun. It wasn't a job, it was...
Do you think that might have been like the transition for growing up?
They've grown up by this time. In fact, they've all been cleaned by this time, you know what I mean? So they're quite aware of the situation. No. They grown up, they never grew up. And probably that's what the problem was. If they'd have grown up, they wouldn't have been in the position that they are today, really, The wives all managing them, and stuff like that, Same as Ronnie, you look at Ronnie, and I'd see him, we still stayed friends, and I went to the shows, and you know what? Like the year before and the year before that, I just watched him just get so thin. And I said to him, I said, Ronnie, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? You've lost some weight. You need to go to the doctors. I said, with all your money now. But watching him fall apart, and, I feel guilty as well, because he never asked me to come with him when he left. And I wouldn't have gone anyway, because you know what? I owed me loyalty to Sabbath, really. To Tony, really, at the time, even though we'd fell apart, and Geezer. So I did, because they give me my start in the music business. Yeah. But saying that, I learned more from Ronnie than ever I learned from them. I have to learn everything myself, And so I felt my allegiance to be with Sabbath.
And would you change, in hindsight, would you have ever changed that?
Oh, fuck.
How would you have done that? Would you have just left Sabbath and worked for Ronnie?
Yeah, I would have done, yeah. In fact, Sharon Osbourne used to ring me up nearly every other day when Ozzy was on the road, because me and Tony used to go and stay at her house and, play up and stuff. And she used to phone me every other day, and how she ever knew what room I was in or what hotel I was in, she'd just ring me. Middle of the night, whatever. Paul, oh fucking hell, Sharon, it's fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. Look, come and work for us. I'll treble what they're giving you. I go, Sharon, they're my mates, I can't do that. And this is actually when Ronnie was still with the band at this stage. Yeah. And she was begging me to go and work, because she was a fun person then, you know what I mean? And Ozzy was just starting out, and it was I felt so bad years later, and I thought, you know what, because I never saw him until he'd done his second album, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hadn't got the courage to go and face him, really, because I felt inside that I'd let him down, really, by not.
And when you did finally come to see him again, how was that?
He was fucking hell, he was like he is. He was just threw his arms around me, hugged me, fucking held on to me, and, you know, he said, I'm so glad you've come. And we got on really great, you know. But I never talked to him about it, but I did feel guilty.
You kind of dropped the subject and just carried on with
life.
life.
I hadn't got the... We were sort of reinstated, and the worst was, like Paul Jr., he was, when Paul was born in 90, he was doing something over here with Tony, and somehow he got in touch, and he was not far from me, he was a few miles away in Sutton Coldfield, living in a house while he was recording with Tony, and we got together then, and Paul Jr. was born, and he was like his godfather to Paul.
Yeah.
He'd come on numerous occasions, he'd be holding Paul in his arms, you know what I mean, and staying, and he always used to come in fact, up to a few years ago, he was still coming in. He signed the wall in the studio.
Yeah, we've seen that.
And in fact, I got a picture of him. The kids weren't here at the time. I mean, they're all grown up now, but the kids weren't here at the time, and they were still living with their mum. And I left a picture in the wall in the bedrooms of. There was a picture of Ronnie lying in the bed, in their bed.
So he's quite a playful character as well as a kind and considerate guy.
Oh fuck yeah, he was always up for a laugh, you know. I mean, and he was always setting me up with chicks. And you know something? He always had ugly birds in his room. I never seen him run off with a bird all the years he was on the road, even when he was with Dio, you know.
Yeah.
He was just totally into his music and you know what? He was a sad person really deep down because he went through and it was horrible to see him wasting away. I mean, it was just, you could put, you know, one hand round his arms, you know, where his muscles are, you know. And
when did you first find out he was ill?
It was he was coming to do a show here. It was about November, something like that. I can't in Birmingham. Mm-hmm. Maybe don't hold me to it. I can't remember now, but he was coming and it was suddenly cancelled the week before. And then Willie Fife, who was his personal, phoned me and told me what was happening. And then Debbie, who works for Geezer,
yeah.
She decided to tell me at this stage, and then I knew it was going to be all over because you know what, he hadn't got enough fat on his body to fight it, you know, and he was as strong as an ox, really, you know, leading up to it. And I didn't want to. Suddenly, I all wanted to be his friends and all that shit, and there was a million people around his bedside, and I thought, what's the point? You know, his missus hated me anyway, and there was that many people around his bedside. Some were genuine, some weren't. You know, the usual carry on. As long as they know Ronnie, and I was at Ronnie's bedside and all this shit. You know, the usual LA shit.
Yeah.
And then Geezer was the one really that doing the most. You know, and apparently Wendy was, you know, going to the hospital with him in Houston and shit like that. But he was such a genuine guy and a great musician, and every musician that's ever worked with him, they'll tell you how much he helped them with their careers, you know, musically. He had lyrically, he was just amazing. I mean, where he got the lyrics from, I don't know, you know. Even with Rainbow, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a sad day, and, you know...
Where were you on that day?
Just in the house here, you know. I knew it was not going to be, and I was prepared for it, and the kids... I told the kids, and Lauren phoned me, and she'd heard before I had a chance to get it. She was crying, and Paul was crying, he was upset. I mean, you know, the kid's like 19, he's broken-hearted. I mean, he loved Ronnie to bits. Ronnie loved him. In fact, you know what? At 15 years of age, Ronnie took him on the road to give him work experience.
Yeah.
Yeah? And,
so most of us worked in a paper shop.
That's right.
Or worked in a factory or something for our work experience. Your son went on the road with Dio.
Yeah. I mean, he'd probably be the drummer now with Dio. He loved him that much, and let me tell you, you know, yeah, he was broken-hearted about Ronnie, and we still don't get over it now, really.
United we rock. Metal Nation Radio.